Welcome to another deep dive. This time you've given us a ton of reading about entrepreneurship,
Yeah.
a whole collection of academic articles, actually,
Yeah.
all about how, uh, you know, digitalization and sustainability
Right.
are kind of reshaping the whole game of entrepreneurship.
It's a pretty fascinating set of articles for sure. Goes way beyond, the typical business advice
Yeah.
and dives into some really fundamental questions about what it even means
Right.
to be an entrepreneur in this
Yeah, this crazy world we're living in.
rapidly changing world. Yeah.
Exactly. And, just looking through some of these articles, I gotta say, some of this stuff is kind of mind-blowing.
All
I mean,
right.
they're talking about these huge shifts they're calling great transformations
Mm-hmm.
that are impacting everything. I mean, from, business to politics to society as a whole.
Right.
And then there's this whole idea of businesses actually being artifacts,
Yeah.
which is not your typical business school stuff.
Yeah. That's a really interesting concept, this idea of entrepreneurial ventures as artifacts.
Yeah.
It's suggesting that businesses and products and services are all kind of intentionally designed and built
Oh.
to respond to specific conditions, just like any other tool would be. And the thing is, the digital age is fundamentally reshaping the whole environment
Yeah.
that these artifacts have to operate in.
Okay, so instead of seeing my business as this static thing,
Yeah,
I should be thinking of it more as a tool
exactly.
that I need to constantly be kind of evolving and adapting
Yeah,
alongside all this, all this stuff happening in the digital world.
totally. Almost like you're choosing the right hammer for a specific job,
Mm-hmm.
but the job keeps changing and all the hammers are digital.
Right, exactly. Yeah, that's a great way to put it.
It really highlights how important it is to be adaptable
Yeah,
and just constantly innovate. I mean, especially in today's business world.
for sure.
The articles also talk about how digital technologies are actually artifacts of the innovation economy themselves, so they're also constantly evolving.
Right.
And that creates a whole other layer of challenges and opportunities.
And it gets even weirder.
What do you mean?
One of the articles actually argues that the entire digital environment itself is an artifact.
Whoa.
They're saying the internet itself is a tool,
Hmm.
not just the apps and websites and things within it.
It's a really interesting concept if you think about it.
It is.
It kind of pushes us to rethink where's the boundary between the real and the virtual,
Totally.
especially in the context of business,
Yeah.
And it raises a lot of questions about how these different layers of artificiality
Mm-hmm.
kind of interact and what it all means for entrepreneurs who
Yeah.
are trying to navigate this whole...
This whole complex system.
Yeah.
Yeah, I need a second to process that one.
I know, right?
But, let's go back to those great transformations you mentioned earlier.
Sure.
The articles talk a lot about how digitalization and sustainability are prime examples
Yes.
of these massive shifts
Yeah.
that are reshaping, everything, right?
Uh-huh.
So as an entrepreneur, how do I even begin to wrap my head around all that?
Well, I think the key takeaway is that these transformations aren't just some kind of abstract concept.
Right.
They really have tangible effects on every decision you make in your business
Yeah.
and your potential for success or failure,
Of course.
And the articles really highlight the importance of developing an entrepreneurial mindset,
Okay.
one that embraces change and uncertainty.
So you're saying it's not enough to just keep up with the latest tech trends.
Exactly.
It's about being flexible and open to new ways of doing things.
Yeah, absolutely. And the research even suggests that entrepreneurs actually have the power to shape these transformations.
Oh, wow.
Through their ventures, through their businesses. Imagine your business could be the thing that pushes unsustainable products out of the market.
Okay, that's pretty empowering. But realistically,
Yeah.
you
Yeah.
how can I, as one entrepreneur,
Hmm.
possibly influence something as massive as a great transformation?
Well, the articles talk about this model called Erschließung.
Erschließung.
Yeah, it's this framework for understanding how individuals and organizations kind of engage with these large-scale transformations
Okay.
and how they move from just awareness
Uh-huh.
to actually taking action. It's almost like a roadmap
Interesting.
for turning your understanding of these big changes into an actual strategy for your business.
So Erschließung is kind of giving me a way to channel all this energy, all this change
Exactly.
into something that's actually productive for my business.
Yeah.
I like it. But there's another big idea that keeps popping up in these articles.
Oh, yeah.
The dynamic capabilities framework. Have you heard of that?
Of course, David Teese's framework.
Yeah.
It's crucial for understanding how businesses can adapt and even thrive
Right.
in these super dynamic environments like the one we're talking about. It emphasizes building the capacity to sense and seize,
Mm-hmm.
and then reconfigure resources to maintain a competitive advantage.
Okay.
And that whole process of adaptation and reconfiguration
Yeah.
is inherently entrepreneurial.
I mean, that all sounds really academic to me.
Yeah.
Can you like break it down
Sure.
in a way that's actually relevant to like my day-to-day business decisions?
Totally.
Right.
Think of it this way. You need to be constantly evaluating your resources and your skills and even your network and asking yourself,
Okay.
how can I reconfigure these things to stay ahead of the curve?
Especially with technology changing so rapidly.
Especially, the last thing you want is to get stuck in the old ways of doing things.
Yeah.
The dynamic capabilities framework kind of gives you that structure, that framework for staying flexible.
So it's all about being agile
Yes.
and constantly learning, right?
Exactly.
That makes sense,
Yeah.
especially with all the changes happening around us.
Yeah.
Speaking of new approaches, one of the articles mentions this thing called eye tracking technology.
Oh, interesting.
They're using it to study entrepreneurship. It sounds super high tech.
It is. It's actually giving researchers a lot of really fascinating insights
Oh, wow.
into how entrepreneurs think and make decisions.
So we're talking about actually watching people's eyes.
Yeah. Eye tracking helps us move beyond just the visual aspects of learning
Yeah.
and delve into the cognitive processes behind entrepreneurial action.
So it's not just about what entrepreneurs see.
Right.
It's about how their brains are like processing that information
Exactly.
and turning it into decisions, right?
Exactly, yeah. Now I'm curious what your eye movements would reveal about your entrepreneurial style.
Haha. I know, right? Maybe we need to get one of those eye trackers.
Maybe, yeah.
But while we're on the subject of cutting edge technology, the
Yeah.
articles also talk about how they're using machine learning to predict customer engagement on platforms like Facebook.
Really?
Wait, are you telling me they can actually predict how many likes or comments a post will get?
Yeah, essentially. Researchers are using all these sophisticated algorithms
Wow.
to analyze features of company posts, like the
Uh-huh.
content type, the time of day it's posted,
Uh,
even like the emotional tone of the language.
mm,
And based on that, they're getting surprisingly accurate
wow.
at predicting how people will engage with it.
So instead of just like throwing content out there and hoping for the best,
Yeah.
businesses can actually use this technology to be much more strategic
Exactly.
about how they're crafting their posts.
Right. It's like having a secret weapon for
Yeah.
social media marketing.
Totally. It's all about, like you said, understanding your audience
Yeah.
and using data to
Right.
really tailor your content for maximum engagement.
Exactly. And that can be a super powerful tool for
Right.
building that loyal customer base and growing your business.
This is making me rethink my whole social media strategy.
I know, right? It's pretty amazing.
But speaking of expanding your reach,
Yeah.
the articles also talk about how digitalization is impacting the way small and medium-sized enterprises, or SMEs as they call them,
Right.
are going global.
It's pretty fascinating.
Yeah.
Traditionally, breaking into those international markets was
yeah.
such a slow and complex process.
Right.
Often limited by geographical distance, right?
Yeah.
But digital tools are changing all of that.
So physical location is becoming less important
Yeah.
for businesses that want to reach a global audience.
For sure. It's definitely becoming less of a barrier.
Wow.
Digital platforms are allowing these SMEs to operate on a global scale,
Yeah.
regardless of where they're physically located. But this also means they need a whole new set of skills and strategies to succeed.
What do you mean? Like, what kind of skills are we talking about?
Well, SMEs need to develop what the articles call digital capabilities and maturity.
Okay.
That includes things like building a strong online presence, managing digital marketing campaigns, and making sure all their online transactions are secure.
So it's not enough to just have a website anymore.
Definitely not. You need a whole digital strategy to compete effectively,
Yeah.
especially on a global scale. And the readings really emphasize
Yeah.
investing in digital infrastructure and training
Right.
to help these SMEs develop those capabilities and thrive.
With all this talk about digital tools and global reach,
Yeah.
I can't help but think about those born digital firms,
Uh-huh.
the ones built from the ground up
Right.
with digital infrastructure and business models.
They definitely have a unique advantage in today's world.
Yeah.
They're agile, they're scalable, and they can adapt so quickly to change.
Okay, this is starting to sound a little intimidating,
Yeah.
If these born digital companies have all these advantages, Doesn't that make it almost impossible for traditional businesses to compete?
That's a great question.
How can I keep up if I'm not starting from scratch?
It's definitely something the research grapples with, too.
Yeah.
While born digital firms have some advantages, they still face challenges. Oh, okay.
In achieving sustainable competitive advantage.
So it's not like an automatic win for those digital natives.
Not at all. They still need to constantly innovate,
Mm-hmm.
be super responsive to customer needs, and build strong ecosystems
Right.
to really support their growth.
So even in a digital world, the fundamentals of good business still apply.
Absolutely.
Okay, that's good to know.
And that's something really important to keep in mind as we start exploring the more complex dynamics of how digital technologies are reshaping global value chains.
Okay, I'm all ears.
So how is digitalization changing the way businesses operate on a global scale?
Well, this is where things get really interesting.
Okay.
And a little bit paradoxical, actually.
How so?
Well, the articles explain how digital technologies are simultaneously favoring both offshoring and reshoring strategies.
Wait, so digitalization is making it easier for companies to send jobs overseas
Yeah.
and bring them back home.
Yeah.
How does that even work?
It all comes down to how companies are using digital tools to break down and manage their value chains.
Okay.
You know, those interconnected activities that go into creating a product or service.
Right.
Think of it like this. Digitalization can lead to much more dispersed value chains,
Okay.
allowing companies to strategically locate different activities in various countries,
Okay.
maybe seeking lower costs or, specialized expertise.
Right.
This can definitely drive offshoring.
But at the same time.
At the same time, yeah.
Okay.
Digitalization can also even out those cost differences between countries and actually encourage reshoring by automating tasks and boosting efficiency.
So companies can bring production closer to their customers.
Yeah,
Maybe even back to their home country.
exactly.
So it's not a simple black and white situation.
Definitely not. The impact of digital technologies on global value chains is super complex.
Yeah.
And it really depends on a bunch of different factors.
Right.
The research really emphasizes that we need more exploration to fully understand all these nuances.
It sounds like I need to be really carefully considering how my business fits into these global value chains
Yeah.
and how digital tools can help me optimize my approach,
Uh-huh.
whether that means offshoring or reshoring or
Yeah.
something in between.
That's a great takeaway. It's definitely something we can delve into further
Yeah.
as we continue this deep dive.
For sure. You know, speaking of navigating a changing world, one of the articles brought up how the pandemic
Oh, yeah.
kind of accelerated a lot of these trends we've been talking about,
Uh-huh.
especially when it comes to global value chains.
Yeah, that makes sense.
The pandemic really threw a wrench in the gears for a lot of businesses.
Absolutely.
I mean, I remember all the supply chain disruptions
Right.
and everyone scrambling to adapt to remote work.
It exposed vulnerabilities in traditional supply chains.
Yeah.
And it forced a lot of businesses to prioritize resilience and rethink their strategies.
And guess what? Played a key role in that whole shift.
Digital technologies.
You got it.
Of course.
The pandemic forced businesses to become much more agile
Yeah,
and adaptable. And digital tools provided the means to do that.
for sure.
They enabled companies to kind of enhance their visibility and control over their operations.
Exactly.
So are you saying that having a robust digital infrastructure
Yes,
actually helped businesses weather the storm of the pandemic?
absolutely. Companies that had already embraced digital transformation were much better equipped to pivot, adjust their operations, and maintain some level of continuity.
It's like having a plan B
Yeah,
or even a plan C
right.
already in place
Yeah, for
to
sure.
deal with those unexpected disruptions.
Exactly.
I remember struggling so much to move my business online when the pandemic hit,
Uh-huh.
and I really wish I had invested more in digital tools beforehand.
It was a huge learning experience for a lot of businesses,
Yeah.
but it also really highlighted how important diversification is
Okay.
and flexibility in those supply chains. Companies are really looking to reduce their reliance on single suppliers and leverage digital tools to create much more resilient and responsive systems.
That sounds like a really smart move.
It is.
What about the role of digital entrepreneurship in all this?
Oh, that's a good question.
Are digital startups better positioned to thrive in this new landscape?
They definitely have an advantage.
Okay.
Their inherent agility and their comfort with all these digital tools
Right.
allows them to pivot really quickly and seize new opportunities.
So we could actually see like a surge.
Possibly.
in digital startups in the coming years
Yeah.
as the business world continues to adapt to this,
Right.
this post-pandemic reality we're in.
It's definitely possible. You know, with all this focus on digitalization
Yeah.
and kind of pushing boundaries,
Uh-huh.
are we overlooking some of the ethical considerations?
That's a really good point.
It is.
And it's something the articles touch on as well,
Yeah.
as entrepreneurs are embracing all these digital technologies.
Uh,
It's so important to think about the ethical implications of those choices.
Absolutely.
It's not just about building successful businesses.
Right.
It's about building businesses that are responsible
Yes.
and operate ethically.
Yeah. It's about using this power for good.
Exactly.
And that responsibility extends to making sure that data privacy is protected, that cybersecurity measures are in place, and that algorithms are used fairly and transparently.
Okay, that makes total sense.
Yeah.
All this talk about digital transformation and the pandemic
Yeah.
makes me wonder, what's next?
That's the big question, isn't it?
What other big changes are on the horizon,
Right.
and how can I prepare my business for the future?
Well, the articles don't have a crystal ball, unfortunately.
Yeah.
But they do give us some valuable insights
Okay.
for thinking about the future.
Mm-hmm.
One thing's for sure, the pace of technological change.
Yeah.
It's only going to speed up.
So if I want to stay ahead of the curve,
Yeah.
I need to be ready to constantly adapt,
Yeah.
learn new skills, and maybe even rethink my entire business model.
It's possible.
That's a little daunting,
It is.
but also kind of exciting.
That's the spirit. It really is an exciting time to be an entrepreneur
Yeah.
because the possibilities are endless for those who are embracing change and innovation.
I like that.
And it's not just about keeping up with technology. It's about understanding how those advancements are influencing consumer behavior
Uh-huh.
and even societal values.
So it's like a constant dance
It is.
between technology, business, and the ever-evolving needs and desires of people.
Exactly. And the successful entrepreneurs will be the ones who master that dance.
Well said.
You know, speaking of expanding possibilities, one of the articles really got me thinking about the potential of digital technologies
Oh, yeah.
to empower entrepreneurs in developing countries.
That's a really interesting thought.
Could this be a game changer for economic growth in those regions?
I've read a bit about how mobile banking and online marketplaces are already making a difference in some parts of the world.
It's a really compelling argument.
Yeah.
You know, digital technologies can provide entrepreneurs in developing countries with access to new markets and resources and knowledge that they might not have had before.
Imagine the impact if entrepreneurs in these underserved communities could actually use digital platforms to connect with customers and investors worldwide.
It could be revolutionary.
It really could.
And while there are definitely challenges to overcome,
Of course.
like limited infrastructure and the need for digital literacy programs, the potential for positive impact is huge.
This actually ties back to our earlier conversation about sustainability.
It does.
Digital technologies can be a really powerful tool
For sure.
for creating a more equitable and environmentally responsible world.
Absolutely. But we also talked about how technology can sometimes have some negative consequences
That's true.
for sustainability, right?
It's kind of a double-edged sword, isn't it? While digital technologies can empower sustainable businesses and optimize resource consumption,
Right.
they can also contribute to e-waste and energy consumption if they're not used responsibly.
Exactly.
So it really comes down to how we choose to use these tools.
Being mindful of the potential impacts and really striving to maximize the positive while minimizing the negative.
Right. And that requires a conscious effort from everyone,
Yeah.
from entrepreneurs, policymakers, and even consumers to prioritize sustainability and ensure that technology is a force for good.
Absolutely.
This brings us back to that idea of Erschließung.
Yes.
That process of understanding and engaging with these great transformations to really drive positive change.
It's a crucial concept for entrepreneurs who want to make a real difference.
It's about moving beyond awareness to action,
Yeah.
turning knowledge into tangible strategies
Exactly.
for shaping a better future.
And that requires a shift in mindset, not just for entrepreneurs, but for everyone.
Yeah. So it's not just about building sustainable businesses.
Right.
It's about building a more sustainable world.
Yes.
And entrepreneurship, with its focus on innovation and problem solving, has a key role to play in that process.
I couldn't agree more. And this is where I think the concept of social entrepreneurship really comes in.
Okay.
These are businesses that are really driven by a mission to create a positive social or environmental impact.
I've heard a bit about social entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
But to be honest, I always thought it was more about, like, nonprofits and charities.
I understand, but it's actually a growing movement
Oh,
that's challenging those traditional notions of what a business can be.
interesting.
Social entrepreneurs are demonstrating that it's possible to build successful and sustainable businesses that prioritize people and the planet alongside profit.
Wow.
They're tackling some of the world's most pressing problems.
Like what?
Well, from poverty and inequality to climate change.
Yeah.
And they're showing that doing good can actually be good business.
So it's not in either situation.
Right.
You can make a profit and make a difference at the same time.
Exactly.
Wow, it's like a whole new model for business success.
It is.
One that's driven by purpose and impact as much as financial gain.
And I think this model is really resonating with younger generations of entrepreneurs.
That makes sense.
Who are looking to create businesses that really align with their values and contribute to a better world.
This is all pretty mind-blowing stuff.
I know, right?
I'm feeling both inspired and a little overwhelmed.
I understand.
By all the possibilities and challenges we've talked about.
It's a lot to process, I know.
Yeah.
But I think the key takeaway here is that entrepreneurship is evolving. And it's evolving rapidly in response to digitalization and globalization.
And this growing imperative for sustainability.
Exactly.
And the entrepreneurs who are going to thrive in this new landscape are the ones who are adaptable and innovative and committed to creating positive change.
Couldn't have said it better myself.
You know, as you're talking about all this, I keep thinking back to that concept of entrepreneurial ventures as artifacts.
Oh, interesting.
If businesses are like tools constantly evolving and adapting to the environment, then entrepreneurs are the craftspeople who shape those tools, right?
Yeah.
But who's shaping the environment itself?
That's a brilliant question.
It really gets to the heart of the interconnectedness of all these issues we've been discussing.
It's a buzz.
The digital environment, the regulatory landscape, social norms, even the global economy. They all influence the success or failure of entrepreneurial ventures.
They do.
So it's not just about individual entrepreneurs working in isolation.
Right.
It's about understanding the broader systems and forces that shape the entire entrepreneurial ecosystem.
Exactly. And that brings us back to the importance of collaboration. You know, entrepreneurs need to engage with policymakers,
educators, investors, and other stakeholders to really create a supportive environment that fosters both innovation and sustainability.
It's like we're all in this together. We are. And the choices we make, both individually and collectively, will determine the future of entrepreneurship.
For sure.
And the kind of world we want to live in.
Well said.
And this leads us to another key theme that emerges from the readings.
Okay, what's that?
The role of education.
Okay.
In preparing future entrepreneurs for this complex and ever-changing world.
Okay, I'm really interested in this.
Yeah.
How do we equip the next generation of entrepreneurs with the skills and knowledge they need?
Well, the articles really point to the need for a more holistic and interdisciplinary approach to entrepreneurship education.
Interesting.
We need to go beyond those traditional business skills and foster things like creativity and critical thinking, adaptability, and a deep understanding of the ethical and societal implications of their business decisions.
So it's not just about teaching them how to write a business plan.
Right, exactly.
Or manage finances.
It's about teaching them how to think like entrepreneurs, how to see the big picture, and how to use their skills to create positive change.
You mentioned understanding the ethical implications of business decisions.
Yes.
That makes me think about all the conversations happening around artificial intelligence.
Of course.
And its impact on society.
Right.
How do we prepare future entrepreneurs to navigate this whole world of AI?
It's a crucial question.
It is.
And one that's being actively explored in the field of entrepreneurship education. We need to teach future entrepreneurs to not just use AI tools effectively, but to understand the ethical implications.
And potential consequences of those tools.
Exactly.
So it's about going beyond just the technical aspects of AI.
Right.
And fostering a deeper understanding of the social and ethical dimensions.
It's about ensuring that AI is used to benefit humanity, not to exploit or harm people.
And that requires developing those critical thinking skills and ethical frameworks.
Yes.
And a strong sense of social responsibility.
And that makes sense.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
I have to admit, all this talk about great transformations and digitalization and AI is making me feel a little overwhelmed.
It's a lot, I know.
It's a lot for one person to wrap their head around.
It is.
But you said earlier that the key is to focus on the fundamentals, right?
Yeah.
What do you mean by that?
Well, no matter how much technology advances or how complex the business world gets,
Right.
the core principles of entrepreneurship, they stay the same.
Oh, okay.
Identifying a need,
Yeah.
creating a solution, building relationships.
And constantly adapting and learning.
Exactly.
So even in the face of all this massive change, there's a sense of stability in those core principles.
There is, yeah.
That's reassuring. But what advice would you give to an entrepreneur who's feeling overwhelmed by all the trends and technologies we've discussed?
I would say start by focusing on your own strengths and passions.
Okay.
What are you good at?
Yeah.
What problems are you passionate about solving? And then look for ways to leverage digital technologies.
To amplify your impact and reach a wider audience.
Exactly.
Okay.
Don't try to do everything at once.
So start small, build on my strengths.
Yeah.
And gradually incorporate new tools and technologies as I learn and grow.
That's it. And don't be afraid to experiment.
Okay.
That's the beauty of entrepreneurship.
Yeah.
It's all about learning by doing.
That makes this whole digital transformation thing seem less daunting.
Yeah.
What about all the talk about born digital companies? Are they going to leave traditional businesses in the dust?
Well, remember, even born digital companies face challenges.
That's true.
And traditional businesses have a wealth of experience and relationships, and often a really loyal customer base that they can leverage.
So it's not about trying to become a born digital company overnight.
Exactly.
It's about finding ways to integrate digital tools and strategies into my existing business model.
That's it.
And that might involve like rethinking some processes, upskilling my team, finding new ways to connect with customers online.
Exactly.
But it's not about starting from scratch.
Yeah.
It's about building on my existing strengths and finding my unique place in this whole digital landscape.
That's a great way to put it.
This brings us back to that idea of adaptability.
It does.
And the dynamic capabilities framework.
It's not just about having the right resources.
Right.
It's about having the ability to constantly adapt and reconfigure those resources as the world changes.
You got it.
And that's a skill that all entrepreneurs need to cultivate.
Yeah.
Whether they're leaving a tech startup or a traditional brick-and-mortar business.
Right. So as an entrepreneur, I need to be constantly asking myself, how can I adapt? What skills do I need to learn? How can I reconfigure my business to thrive in this ever-evolving environment?
Precisely. And that brings us back to the importance of lifelong learning.
It's not just a buzzword.
It's not.
It's like a necessity for entrepreneurs in the digital age.
It really is. And it's not just about acquiring technical skills.
Right.
It's about cultivating a mindset of curiosity, a willingness to experiment, and a commitment to continuous improvement.
You know, as we're talking about this, I'm realizing that entrepreneurship is more than just a career path. It's like a way of thinking. A way of approaching the world.
It's about seeing problems as opportunities, embracing change.
And being willing to take risks.
That's a beautiful way to put it.
And I think that's what makes entrepreneurship so exciting and rewarding.
Yeah.
It's not just about building businesses.
Right.
It's about building a better future for ourselves and for the world.
I love that.
Okay, I think we've officially reached peak inspiration level for this deep dive.
I think so too.
But before we wrap up, I want to make sure I'm walking away with some actionable takeaways.
Of course.
What are the key things I should be focusing on as an entrepreneur navigating this digital age?
Here are a few thoughts based on our conversation and the articles you shared.
Hit me with it.
First, remember that your business is an artifact. It's a tool that needs to constantly adapt to that changing environment. Embrace flexibility, innovation, and a willingness to experiment.
Got it. Be adaptable, be innovative, and don't be afraid to try new things.
Exactly. Second, invest in developing your digital capabilities. This includes building a strong online presence, mastering those digital marketing strategies, and making sure your business is secure.
And efficient in the digital realm.
Yes.
Okay, so digital skills are non-negotiable in today's world.
I would say so.
What's next?
Third, prioritize sustainability. This isn't just about being environmentally responsible. It's about building a business that is ethical, resilient, and creates value for all your stakeholders.
So sustainability isn't just a trend.
It's not.
The core business principle.
Exactly.
And what was the last one?
Remember that you're not alone on this journey.
Oh, that's important.
It is.
Connect with other entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Find mentors.
Build a support network.
Yeah.
Entrepreneurship can be challenging.
It can.
But it's much easier when you have people to share the journey with.
Those are fantastic takeaways.
Good.
I'm feeling inspired and ready to tackle all the challenges ahead.
That's the spirit. And remember, the most important thing is to never stop learning, growing, and evolving.
Yeah.
The world of entrepreneurship is constantly changing.
Right.
And the only way to stay ahead of the curve is to embrace that change and make it work for you.
This has been an incredible deep dive.
It has.
Thank you so much for guiding me through this complex.
You're welcome.
And a fascinating topic.
It's been my pleasure.
I really enjoy these conversations.
Me too.
And I'm so glad we could explore these ideas together.
Yeah, it's been great.
And to our listener, thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive into the world of entrepreneurship in the digital age.
Yes, thank you.
We hope this conversation has sparked some new ideas and inspired you to embrace the challenges and opportunities that lie ahead.
Until next time.
Yes.
Keep learning, keep innovating, and keep making a difference.
It's like we were saying earlier, my business isn't just this isolated thing.
Yeah.
It's part of a much larger ecosystem.
Right.
And if I want to succeed, I need to really understand how all these different elements, from global trends to these ethical considerations we were talking about, are shaping the whole environment.
It's all connected.
That my business operates in.
Exactly. And that's where the true power of entrepreneurship lies. It's not just about making a profit.
Right.
It's about using your skills and your vision to create positive change.
Yeah. That makes me think about all those amazing social entrepreneurs we've been hearing so much about lately.
Yeah.
The people who are building businesses that are tackling these huge social and environmental challenges.
Right.
But at the same time, they're actually making a profit.
They are.
It's like they're proving that you can do good and do well at the same time.
They're leading the way.
It's amazing.
It is. And this whole shift toward purpose-driven entrepreneurship, it's something that really excites me.
I could tell.
It suggests that maybe we're actually moving toward a future where businesses are more than just, engines of economic growth.
Yeah.
They can actually be forces for good in the world.
Okay. I have to admit, after going through all this research and having this conversation with you, my head is kind of spinning.
I bet.
We've covered so much, from that whole philosophical idea of businesses as artifacts to the really practical implications of AI for entrepreneurs.
It's a lot to take in.
But I'm walking away with, a renewed sense of purpose.
Oh, that's great.
And a much deeper understanding of all the complexity and possibility
of entrepreneurship in this digital age.
I'm glad to hear that. And I think that's the whole point of these deep dives.
It is.
Right. It's to challenge your assumptions.
Yeah. Expand your horizons and spark new ideas.
One thing that keeps coming back to me is that idea of Erschließung.
Yeah.
That process of moving from awareness to action.
Right.
I can read all these articles and understand the trends, intellectually. But how do I actually translate that knowledge into concrete steps for my business?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it?
It is.
And there's no one-size-fits-all answer, of course.
Right.
But I think the key is to start by asking yourself some really tough questions.
Like what? Give me an example.
Well, think about those great transformations we talked about. Digitalization and sustainability. How are they impacting your industry specifically?
What are the challenges and opportunities that they present for my business?
Exactly. Once you have a clearer understanding of that landscape, you can start developing strategies for adapting and thriving.
So it's about taking those big, abstract concepts and figuring out how they apply to my specific situation.
Right.
My business, my market.
That's it. And don't forget to be proactive.
Okay.
Don't wait for the changes to overwhelm you.
I know. Easier said than done.
I know, but try to anticipate those changes, experiment, and be willing to adapt your approach as you go.
I have to be honest, though. The technology changing so fast.
Yeah, it's a lot.
It's hard to know where to focus my energy.
Right.
Should I be investing in AI, blockchain, the metaverse?
It seems like every day there's a new shiny object.
Yeah,
It
exactly.
can definitely feel overwhelming.
It does.
But here's the thing, you don't need to be an expert in every new technology that comes along.
Right.
Focus on the tools and platforms that align with your business goals.
Yeah, okay.
And that can help you solve real problems
Yeah.
for your customers.
So it's not about chasing the latest trends.
Right.
It's about being strategic
Exactly.
and finding the right tools for the job.
And remember, technology is constantly evolving.
It is.
What's cutting edge today might be obsolete tomorrow.
That's true.
The key is to be adaptable and willing to learn new skills.
This brings us right back to that idea of lifelong learning.
It does.
It's not just a buzzword.
It's not.
It's a necessity
It really is.
for entrepreneurs in the digital age.
Absolutely. And it's not just about acquiring those technical skills.
Right.
It's about cultivating that mindset of curiosity,
Mm-hmm.
a willingness to experiment,
Yeah.
and a commitment to continuous improvement.
You know, as we're talking about all this, I'm realizing entrepreneurship is more than just a career path. It's a way of thinking,
Yeah.
a way of approaching the world.
It's about seeing problems as opportunities.
You know, embracing change and being willing to take risks.
So that's a beautiful way to put it.
It is. And I think that's what makes entrepreneurship so exciting
Yeah.
and so rewarding.
It's not just about building businesses.
Right.
It's about building a better future
Yeah.
for ourselves and for the world. I love that. Okay, I think we've reached peak inspiration level for this deep dive.
Yeah.
But before we sign off, is there anything else you want to add?
Just one more thing.
Okay, go for it.
Don't forget to have fun.
That's important.
Entrepreneurship is a challenging journey, but it should also be enjoyable.
Well said.
Embrace the ups and downs, celebrate your successes, and learn from your mistakes.
Couldn't agree more.
And remember, the most important thing is to stay true to your vision
Yeah.
and to never give up on your dreams.
This has been an absolutely incredible deep dive.
It has.
Thank you so much for joining me today.
It's been my pleasure. Thanks for having me.
And to our listener, thank you for being here with us today.
Yes, thank you. We hope you found this deep dive insightful and inspiring.
We do.
And we encourage you to keep learning, keep innovating, and keep chasing your entrepreneurial dreams.
Until next time.
Bye for now.